White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer apologizing tonight and taking full responsibility for saying wrongly that Hitler never used chemical weapons during World War II. Back with me now, my panel, and I'm sure the reaction is going to be unbelievable. April, you were there in the room. Big backlash to the comments by Sean Spicer comparing Hitler and Assad. Let's listen to the full clip. First, he makes a statement, and then he tries to clarify it.
We didn't use chemical weapons in World War II. You know, you had someone as despicable as Hitler, who didn't even sink to using chemical weapons. So you have to, if you're Russia, ask yourself: is this a country that you and a regime that you want to align yourself with?
Quote, Hitler didn't even sink to the level of using chemical weapons. What did you mean by that?
I think when you come to sarin gas, he was not using the gas on his own people the same way that Assad is doing. I mean, there was clearly, I understand your point. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. There was not he brought him into to the Holocaust Center. I understand that. But I'm saying in the way that Assad used them, where he went into towns, dropped them down to innocent into the middle of town.
You were in the room. What was the reaction?
I was actually writing and I was listening, and when he started making the statements, it was an impacting statement, something that he touched a third rail. And I quickly lifted my head and I heard audible gasps in the room. I heard people saying things. I kept turning and looking. People were very upset, particularly many of the Jewish American reporters that were in the room. It was not a shining moment for him to make that statement. You never compare Hitler with anyone. You don't even bring Hitler up. It was just a very bad moment.
Nia, I mean, Holocaust centers, I mean, it was,
Yeah, no, I've never ever heard that phrase. I guess in that particular moment, he meant gas chambers. And when I was looking at Sean Spicer up there, and we know Sean Spicer obviously, and he's been in this job for 82 days now, and you could sort of tell that he knew that he was getting into territory and comparisons that might not exactly be helpful. And you can sort of see in the room there, April was obviously there. It seems like the reporters are trying to help him out to get to a place where he can clarify and make good and make some sense with his statement, but he was never really able to do that. And of course he released the third statement.
Let me read that statement. He released a statement. He says, in no way was I trying to lessen the horrendous nature of the Holocaust. I was trying to draw a distinction of the tactic of using airplanes to drop chemical weapons on population centers. Any attack on innocent people is reprehensible and inexcusable. But then Anna, as mistakes go, I mean, this was a pretty big one, so much so that Sean Spicer...
I think the word you're looking for is huge.
Yeah, huge. He apologized to Wolf Blitzer. Here it is.
I was obviously trying to make a point about the heinous acts that Assad had made against his own people last week, using chemical weapons and gas. And frankly, I mistakenly used an inappropriate and insensitive reference to the Holocaust, for which, frankly, there is no comparison. And for that, I apologize. It was a mistake to do that.
So he's had an adversarial relationship since he's been in that role with CNN. But usually he goes on Fox News in friendly territory. This time he went on CNN with a reporter with an anchor who has connections to the Holocaust. Was this a big enough blunder for that? Why did he feel he had to come on and go with Wolf Blitzer? I'm glad he did choose Wolf, but it's certainly saying something that didn't go to Fox News.
Well, look, let me say this. I knew Sean Spicer before he overdosed on orange Kool-Aid. And he is not an anti-Semite. He is not a bad guy. He is a decent guy who I think is trying to do his job. I don't think the things he said were with malicious intent. He is not a Holocaust denier. That being said, you never ever make comparisons with Hitler. You never ever make comparisons with rape. Not in politics, not anywhere, not on TV. I think Sean realizes he made a very big mistake. The problem Sean has is that he's been on the job 82 days, and it's about time he starts getting his footing. I think he's developed an adversarial relationship with the press. He's become a running joke on late night comedy shows. that is a problem for the White House press secretary who speaks on behalf of an administration and who is supposed to have a level of credibility. And let me tell you, I think April Ryan, man, girl, you should have been shaking your head at this one.
Okay, listen, Alan is sitting here. Alan is biding his time. And Alan, I want to get your perspective on this because Stephen Goldstein, who's executive director of the Anne Frank Center, issued a statement that's scathing. He said, on Passover no less, Sean Spicer has engaged in Holocaust denial, the most offensive form of fake news imaginable, by denying Hitler gassed millions of Jews to death, said executive director of the Center, Stephen Goldstein, in a statement. Spicer's statement is the most evil slur upon a group of people we have ever heard from a White House press secretary.
Well,
do you think he was engaging in Holocaust denial?
No, and of course what this guy who claims to be the head of the Frank Center, who's a total phony, there's no such thing. It's a minor institution. It has no credibility within the Jewish community. He's constantly trying to get headlines by overblowing everything. What happened here is the guy screwed up, and he apologized, and he apologized from his heart. And I'm prepared to give him a pass on this. I'll tell you who I'm not prepared to give a pass on this, the Democratic National Committee that has immediately decided to politicize this. Immediate tweets saying we can't tolerate anti-Semitism, even a whiff of anti-Semitism. This is the Democratic National Committee who has as its co-chairman Keith Ellison, who didn't recognize, let me finish, who didn't recognize the fact that he was working for an anti-Semite, Farrakhan. This is just hypocrisy,
Alan,
and I think we
I
should not make politics out of this. The Democrats, the Republicans.
It's very emotional to you because when there's an issue, especially when it comes to politics, you bring that up, and that is, you even threatened to. You said that you were going to lead the Democrats. They elected Keith Ellison. I understand that. So you know, maybe they have their issues, but this is something different. This is something that happened today.
That ought not to be politicized. Yeah. It was a mistake. You don't make analogies to Hitler. He apologized profusely and from the heart. Let's put it behind us. Let's not let the Anne Frank people take advantage of this. Let's not let the Democrats take advantage of this. Let's understand that it was a mistake. He apologized, and let's move on.
Okay, hang on. Shouldn't the person who is speaking for the highest person in the land have a grasp of history?
Of course.
Everyone makes mistakes, and I've heard people today make excuses for this by saying everybody makes a mistake. Yes, we all do, but not everybody is speaking for the President of the United States.
I agree, but let's remember too, this is one of the rare occasions where anybody in the Trump administration has made a full-throated, complete apology. Let's praise that when it happens to encourage it more and more.
Go ahead, Jack. Is this a liability for the administration?
That's not true. That's not true.
No, it's not.
Ben Carson made an apology for something
I think that, you know, like those of us who've known Sean for many, many years know that there's not an anti-Semitic. He's a very decent, honorable guy in an extremely difficult job. I mean, how would you like a 2-hour pop quiz every single day with a bunch of people who say, I got you on the slightest mistake? And I'm not saying this was that case. Anything he's
again, who is speaking from the podium in the White House briefing room, and you say that Hitler didn't gas people or use chemical weapons, that's a complete blunder. And listen, he apologized, but still, you cannot say that this was not a blunder.
It was a blunder.
It was a blunder, and I'm given all that. I would say, as I listen to it, my interpretation, and I agree with all of the above, by the way, but I would say, what he said, didn't use chemical weapons in that manner, meaning use it in barrel bombs or whatever from the sky, and it was a stupid thing to say. Everybody acknowledges that, and I think if he had have tried to defend the statement, or
but now you're sitting here trying to defend the indefensible, because even he is saying that what he said is indefensible. But now you're trying to defend it, Jack.
No, I'm not. I'm actually saying I agree with the above. If I was going to defend it, that's what I would have said. But I mean, to me, I understand perhaps what he was trying to get to. And listen,
but Jack, even he doesn't understand what he's trying to get to. He's saying there's no excuse for what he said. Go ahead, David.
I would just look, Congressman. No, I see what you're saying, and I too want to say I think that Sean Spicer deserves credit for coming out before the cameras and apologizing right away today, and it seemed sincere and full-throated. That being said, though, a minute ago you were talking about this idea that he's got a tough job and he's getting his footing, and how would people like to go out there? He knew what he signed up for when he became the press secretary for President Trump. President Trump is a shoot-from-the-hip guy, and Sean Spicer knew full well what he was getting into. They've got this war of words escalating
you know what?
between
And I
us and the
think he-
Russians, and he let his rhetoric get ahead of what's going
but
on
that's
in the
not
world.
his
Wait, just one more
Let
thing.
the Democrats
that was
criticize
a
him.
response to a question.
Let the Democrats criticize him for making a mistake, but
This
it's
is
wrong.
the Democrats criticizing for him. I mean, not.
I'm
on this, I
criticizing
understand
him
what
for
you're
the way.
saying.
Can I
criticizing him for the way.
why does this have to be
Hold on,
political?
hold
Why
on.
does it have to
Hold
be
on,
political?
everybody one at a
Why
time.
does this?
April,
Why
go
does
ahead.
okay? Why does this have to be political? As someone who sits in that room
Exactly right.
and asks Sean questions, and yes, I have known Sean for a while. He was given a question, and he stepped into his own hole.
Right.
No one gave him that hole. He
well,
stepped
oh,
into his
baby,
he
own
stepped
hole.
in more than a-
And the bottom
he
line,
stepped in a hell of a lot more than a
That's
hole.
not what
finish.
the Democrats accused him of.
Okay,
The Democrats
but wait a minute,
said we don't
It's- but
tolerate
it's not-
a
I'm
whiff
not-
of
wait a minute.
anti-Semitism.
Can we deal with this? Can we deal with this?
People are
Can we
speaking a
deal with the
partisan tone
issue
on this
without
panel.
dealing with politics?
Alan,
You know-
you're doing that, and the
I
press.
am doing that
April
because
is talking
that's what
about
the
the press,
Democrats did.
the press people in the room,
Right.
and how the
Right.
country has
I'm not
reacted
talking.
to it.
I'm talking about. I'm just talking. I'm just trying to get to the issue of what
Okay,
happened in that room.
right.
I'm not bringing politics in it. I'm talking about this statement happened during Passover, a holy
Well,
time
that's-
for a community that was the butt of an atrocity. A community, 6 million people. It's not about politics. It's about people who were hurt.
Okay,
Sean went
let's
out
say
there
it's not
realizing
about
what he
politics,
did, and he
Anna,
apologized.
Anna, let me say
That's not Anna,
respectfully,
that's
you're
April.
above politics, but you're not
I'm
above
April. This is
criticizing
April.
him.
I'm sorry.
April, I'm sorry. Well, I can't see who's talking. I apologize. but,
Not all colored girls are the same, Jack.
Well, I'm sorry,
They're
but
both
I'm
wearing
not
yellow.
looking. Hey,
Go
come
on,
on.
quickly. I've got to get to the break.
Here's
My
the point.
producers.
You might not be criticizing him because you're a Democrat. You're criticizing him because you don't like Trump.
I never
That's what
said I
would
was a
suspect.
Democrat. I never said I was a Republican. You don't know my
She's a
politics.
journalist.
Okay, listen,
She's an
I've got to run. I've got to run. But let me say this. I've got to
I'm a
run.
Democrat.
I have to
Now
run.
he just went to a whole nother. So I'm a Democrat because I'm black.
no.
You saying I'm a Democrat?
No,
because
you're
I'm
a
black?
Democrat.
Oh, boy,
He
that was
thinks
a
you're
quick
me.
one.
That's the problem
That
he's
was really
having.
a quick one.
I tried, producer.
Jack,
but-
do me a
I'll try-
favor.
I'll
Quit
try
while
to
you're
take some
behind.
humor
Let's
around
just
that.
not politicize the Holocaust on either
Yeah.
side.
You're gonna wrap this, Don, right?
Okay,
Criticize
Alan,
it
I understand
when
what you're saying.
you
We shouldn't be
again.
politicizing this, and no one should be politicizing this. The only thing is that, quite honestly, when I
it's
heard this
not.
today, I thought about all of my Jewish friends like you, and I was, I shouldn't say I was offended, but it was hurtful.
It was
especially to
He
have someone
apologized.
who didn't understand that. When I saw Wolf interviewing him, I actually had to congratulate him for going on Wolf's show, and I thought Wolf did a very good job.
He did.
And
Absolutely.
you know, if someone gives you an apology, accept it, but
But criticize.
know
You
what
can
you're
still
doing when
criticize.
you're the
Yeah,
White House
yeah,
press
yeah.
secretary. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
you.
We'll be right
Thanks,
back.
Don.